Army nurse Katie Blanchard warned her command something was going to happen to her. She was afraid of the civilian employee she supervised. Then court records show he nearly killed her. WUSA 9 investigative reporter Laura Geller has uncovered that Blanchard has no way to hold her employer accountable. She's not allowed to sue the U.S. military for what she says they failed to do: protect her.
September 7th, 2016, Fort Leavenworth, Kansas.
It happened really fast.
Then First Lieutenant Katie Blanchard is in her office at Munson Army Health Center.
And I looked up and I could see him at my doorway.
It was in that moment Clifford Curry, a civilian employee Blanchard supervised, changed her life forever.
He doused me with gasoline and lit 2 matches, and before I could even stand up, had thrown the matches at me, and I felt a sunburst of heat, of flames. I couldn't see anything because my face was engulfed in flames.
She remembers a fellow nurse trying to help.
I saw Curry, Clifford Curry, my attacker, coming at me with a large industrial scissors and a straight blade. And I remember putting my hands up. You know, I couldn't see very well, but I just remember all of us being in a scuffle very close together and me putting my hands up as he was stabbing at both of us.
Someone was finally able to restrain Curry.
I was laying on that cold, hard floor for quite a while waiting for the ambulance to come, and I just kept screaming, "You knew this was going to happen." And I wanted people to know that if I didn't make it, that they knew this was going to happen to me.
In fact, they were warned something was going to happen, according to this Army investigation of the incident. Sworn statements show Blanchard reported her fears to her supervisors. Lieutenant Blanchard told me that she was worried he would do something to hurt her. She thought something wasn't right with him. But the investigation also says she was told without tangible evidence that something bad was going to happen. The sentiment seemed to be nothing more could be done. Less than a month later, her entire head and face were burned. Curry was convicted in federal court and sentenced to the maximum of 20 years in prison. While Army records say he is solely responsible, they also note leadership negligence and poor judgment. Still, the retired captain says she has no way to hold Army leadership accountable. We told you about the Feres Doctrine. It's the Supreme Court ruling that prohibits active duty service members from suing the government for something brought on by their service. But what you might not know, that includes things like negligence and workplace violence.
It was this feeling of, I think that everything that I had believed in, that I had worked for, had betrayed me. That the military that I knew and that I loved and that my family loved had left me behind.
At this point, the mom of 3 counts over 200 surgeries. Even so, she's traveled from her home in Washington State here to D.C. for hearings on possible changes to Feres. The Department of Defense explains repealing the Feres Doctrine would essentially create a special group within the military. It would allow some service members to sue, while others who are, say, injured in combat or training would not be able to. A spokesperson tells us the department continues to support the long-standing congressional policy that all military members and their families should be under the same compensation system for personal injuries or death, whether caused by combat, training accident, household accident, natural cause, or other reason. After almost 7 decades, Congress finally agreed to reform part of the Feres Doctrine. The legislation, which the president signed, allows service members to be compensated for medical malpractice. They were motivated by the Green Beret who told us his story in September. Blanchard hopes it is a first step to changing the entire system.
What I keep going back to is that some of this is never going to change for my story. It's never going to benefit my family having to go through this. But why I talk and why I advocate for change is because I don't want the next person to have to go through what I went through.
You know, Katie did everything right, and what happened to her was simply horrific. Is there a cost to this?
Well, yes, but it's tough to tell exactly how much. No one has a crystal ball to determine how courts would rule in these cases, how much they would award in damages. But DOD tells me it'll cost an estimated $40 to $50 million a year in taxpayer money.
I sure hope that after all of your reporting, something changes. They deserve it. They deserve it. Laura, thank you.